Hello, hello, everyone.
I wasn't done dancing yet.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Rude. You
How
should
did
have just waited on
everybody's?
your loop.
I should have just looped it. Nobody would have got suspicious when it started back at 60. So, how was everybody's weekend? I'm posting on Instagram that we are live because that is a thing that I forgot to do.
I'll talk. My weekend was great. I read some books. I watched some television. I got to hang out with my kid. She was here for a couple hours on Saturday and a couple hours on Sunday. Had a couple naps. I mean, all the good.
I took myself out to dinner on Friday for my birthday, and it was delicious. I went to a steakhouse, and Saturday I ate the leftovers and napped,
There.
and started reading Delicious Monsters by Lizelle Sandberry. So, yeah, that was great fun. I'm
Is
on
that
chapter
a
3.
is that a new release from her?
I think it came out in February.
Yeah, I think mid-February.
I'll have to check it out. I didn't even know.
It's like a YA horror.
Ooh. I like her Blood-like magic. I need to read Blood-like Fate. I bought it but I was dealing with PMDD at the time and it's very family heavy. And so I was like my emotions cannot at the moment.
That's a good
And
plan.
then yeah. But I'm
You
good
could.
now, so I should.
Delicious Monsters isn't. It does have family stuff, but it's not as. I mean, it did make me cry, but it doesn't. I guess it's not like as emotionally charged because there's less family members, so it's not like as many people that you're like attached to. They're all fantastic though. Read anything by Lizelle. I highly support.
Yes.
Do all the things.
Yeah, so I started reading that, and I was eating my birthday cake all weekend long. I still have some left. It is
Happy
chocolate
birthday,
mousse
belatedly.
over white chocolate mousse over chocolate cake.
What?
So you're having the best time.
Oh, yeah. Except I was eating in bed, and Roy came and took a chomp out of my slice. I was like, are you serious, sir? No, this is chocolate. No.
He was like, this is the one shot I got.
Exactly. He just went, ah. I was like, dude, no.
Roy. I can't say anything because what was I eating yesterday? Oh, I was eating a bagel and cream cheese, and I would have a bite, and Flash would have a bite, and then I would have a bite, and Flash would have a bite. He's ridiculous. He likes snacks. Me too.
I finished my chili for lunch today. But I kept all my pizza to myself.
I do usually keep all of my pizza to myself. I've only trained Merlin to not eat my food by always saving her the last bite of whatever I eat.
Uh-huh.
So I leave my plate on the desk and go to the bathroom or go get something out of the kitchen, she won't mess with it. But if there's one bite left and she's sitting there and I put the plate in front of her, she'll eat it. And she always gets the last bite. As long as it's something that's okay for a cat to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. My pit bull fully expects to anytime my youngest has food near her, she'll just sit there and she'll wait or she'll try to take a bite off my daughter's fork. But this is because when my daughter was a toddler, she would take a bite and then give a bite and then take a bite and then give a bite. And despite the fact that this has been she has not done this in years and years, my dog still fully expects her to share. And it's I had to, I have to warn the kids when they eat in a room where the dogs are. I'm like, she will try to steal your food because she doesn't perceive it as stealing at this point. You used to share with her. So
she's just sharing without your permission.
because she only does it to the children.
I mean, Flash isn't dumb. When we have family dinners, he'll go and sit under the kids' table and just wait for the food to fall because he
That's
knows
just
it's going to
efficient
happen.
cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, if you think that I don't like when I cook, our stove is at the kitchen counter, and then there's like a walkway and then a bar that runs the whole length of the counter. And so one of them lays on each end, closing me in, and they just like wait for me to drop food while I'm cooking. Very rarely do I ever have to say, clean up on aisle 4, and somebody will come running in and eat whatever I dropped on the floor.
When there's like a spill, the dogs aren't normally allowed in the living room, mainly because my pit bull likes to make a break for freedom. Like she's never gone for long. She'll just try to make a break for freedom, do a couple loops around the neighborhood, and then come home. But I'm like, you are a pit bull. You cannot be doing that.
Right.
So they're not normally allowed in the living room. But if there's a spill or something in the living room, then I'll just like open the gate and I would like go clean it up, and then
Go clean that.
they'll clean it up, and they'll come back into the kitchen, and I'm like, very good. My weekend was good. For those who don't know, it's the annual war with my insurance company to get my shot approved. And so I have technically already missed my May dose, which means I'm going to have a transition period where I like basically detransition from being on the shot, and then after I get the shot, there'll be a week to 2 where my body gets back used to, hopefully just a week to 2. Like the first time it was a couple months, but the second time I had to like break from it, it was only a couple weeks. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, they've like it's kind of funny. In an ironic sense, I recently learned that there is a huge issue with insurance companies auto denying services because like they don't have people reviewing it, they have machines reviewing it. And the way that they've programmed the machines is that they'll just like auto reject it unless it's been filled out in a very specific way. And then what you have to do is like do an appeal, and then I don't remember the percentage, but it's like a ridiculously high percentage. Like at least I want to say at least 90% of these appeals get approved because like you actually do qualify. It's just because your form wasn't filled out in that hyper specific way. The machine was like, no. And like more things should be approved than even are being appealed, because if you don't know how to appeal it, or you don't know that you should appeal it, then you just kind of accept that your insurance isn't going to cover the medication that you need.
Yeah.
So thankfully I'm getting better at this song and dance, but I'm still I have to call my insurance tomorrow if my doctor doesn't have the appeal form, because now it's like I have to call my insurance to send the appeal form to my doctor. And so of course they're not doing that quickly, but it's fun times. And like the thing is, the approval needed to be done in April, but of course they didn't tell me anything about this, so I could have tried to get this taken care of before my next dose. No. It's when I called to refill my prescription, and my pharmacy was like, hey, yeah, your out-of-pocket fee will be $800. And I'm like, excuse you? That's not the $40 I've been paying.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I call to figure out what's going on. And the pharmacist is the one that's like, oh, yeah, it looks like your thing needs to be pre-approved. I'll go ahead and get that started for you. And then
Lovely.
all the fun times. But that is to say that means that I haven't been feeling the greatest this weekend, because of course we had storms on top of it. So Friday I got to pick like where we would go out to dinner and stuff for Mother's Day, and I was just like, I just want Chinese and to like watch a movie with the kids at home. And so that's what we did. They watched Brandy's Cinderella with me. which my middle child was like, is this a musical? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I hate musicals. And I'm like, you literally do not. You are the one that is binging the High School Musical movies with me. Would you like to try that again, sir? So, but he very much got into it. He because we have like the captions on and stuff, so he'd start singing with the songs because he'd see the captions. And I'm like, oh, I see that. I see you're very much like your mother in the fact that you can predict the melody of it. But so that was a good time. Saturday was a library day, and I took the children to my mom's, their nano witches, because they were supposed to help my papa, their great grandfather, haul some wood out of the backyard because a tree fell over, and so they cut it up. But it rained, like it started downpouring right as we got there. But of course, I was not surprised. I didn't think about the fact my grandparents would do this, but I was not surprised when it happened. When my papa was like, "Well, here's the down payment for the children." He's like, "They still gotta come help and stuff," but also the way he phrased it, they're obviously going to be paid more when they actually do help. But it's like they got dressed and came over to help and stuff, and I'm like, I want to get paid just for getting out of bed.
Me too.
I mean,
Get paid for that.
I'm not against it.
Then we went to the library, and on Sunday, my copy of Tears of the Kingdom came in. So Chris and I started Tears of the Kingdom together, and he made chicken parmesan for dinner. And that has been my weekend. That and like my sleep schedule is severely fucked up. So it's basically been after everybody goes to sleep, I lay there and I play my Switch while listening to an audiobook. And I've gone through like 4 audiobooks now. Although, to be fair, one of those was a series of unfortunate events, book 2, which is only like 3 hours long in the first place.
It's a fun one.
But Tim Curry narrates the entire series, so I'm like, this is 60% of the reason I'm going to listen to this series.
His voice, so good. He also voices the Upthornton books by Garth Nix, Sabriel, and those ones.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea what these books are, but now I will have to.
Necromancy, YA.
With Tim Curry, yes.
Yeah.
Hi, stranger. Never seen you before. Hi, Kelly. Hey, Mimi. Hi, RP. Hey, Shannon. I always appreciate those who make friends with the like button. Hi. Hi. I thank you. Busy but good is good. Yes, Mimi, you did kick ass. In my server, I have a chat room where we share our task lists for the day and the weekend. So we try to support each other getting our sheet done. It's fun times.
I also played a game last night with my siblings. Phasmophobia. This is the ghost hunting video game.
I know of this game, but only because my children listen to like
Markiplier.
No. People who make songs themed by video games.
Yes.
I don't know if that subgenre of music has a term, because I can't just say video game songs because it sounds like the songs from the video games. But no, it's like this 2 or 3 groups of people.
Is Shmoyo one of them? I can't remember. But yes.
But like, and so the song, so every time somebody mentions Phasmophobia, I think of that one part in the song where it's just like, Noah Walker, and it's like very dramatic. My brain fog is really bad right now, but
okay, so
I think I know the plot of the game because depending on how accurate to it that song is.
So the game has updated since we had last played. So there are now cursed items in the houses that you go and are investigating. And so my brother is a boy. He's my brother. Oh my gosh. So he's like, watch this! It's like, dang it! She finds a monkey paw in the house. walks up to the dot projector we had set up in the room in the house and says, "I wish to see the ghost." Ghost appears, immediately kills my brother's wife. It's like,
Really?
dude, why would you do this? Why would you wish for the ghost to appear when we just got started? I died twice. It was terrifying.
It did its job.
It did.
I like watching. We will get started on our intros in one moment. I like watching Chris play those horror games because he gets like, I don't want to say scared. He gets spooked rather easily. So he's very entertaining to watch, especially and if it's a mystery horror game. Then like I get to enjoy his reactions, but then I also get to enjoy how annoyed or frustrated he gets when I like figure out the mystery and stuff. So, especially when like I'm not paying attention to half the game, so I'll just pick up a couple clues here or there. And I was like, "Is this about like this kind of monster?" And he's like, "Maybe." RP worked the farmer's market for his job, then played D&D on Saturday, then sat and lazed around Sunday. Nice. All right, Jess, start us with our intros.
Hello, friends. I am Jess from the Hexed Library, where I post reading, writing, book, and planner-related content a couple times a week. I also co-host AuthorTube Chat, which happens on the third Tuesday of every month, except for this month, where it happens on the fourth Tuesday, because sometimes Kate and I like to take liberties. We're currently reading, what are we reading? The Princess Bride, and we're also going to watch it and have a fun time and discuss the differences between the movie and the book. And also, along with Sam, I co-run / am admin deity of the Storytellers Hearth, and we have a weekend relay coming up. And I have been contacting hosts today to double check availability. And Laura was actually the last person that I had to contact. And everybody has responded except for one person. So we're doing fantastic.
Woohoo.
And that's me.
I assume that one person is not Laura.
That one person is not Laura. Laura has answered.
Yeah.
For those who want to like co-host on streams and stuff, co-host recruiting starts this Friday, and we've hopefully streamlined it a little bit. So
We'll see what happens.
We're testing a thing, trial by fire. As
it could be great. It could be the worst thing we've ever done. And that's how I like changes. Like, is it going to be the best change you've ever made or the worst?
It's going to be awesome either way. I am Lord Nettles. I mostly write horror. My book came out on Tuesday. So I have tiny shivers on all of its tentacle glory.
I recommend watching the launch stream on replay. It was extremely entertaining. A lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's got cosmic horror, it's got gothic horror, it's got psychological horror, sci-fi, and holiday food horror. Yeah, I am around. I mostly stream every other Tuesday, Thursday, every other Thursday on my channel. And I'm starting to stream on Twitch again on Saturdays, and I'm usually here once or twice a month. I'm on Nia's on Tuesdays, JC's on Wednesdays, mine or Tiffany's on Thursdays. So everywhere.
Am I remembering correctly? I think I saw you post a stream schedule in your community tab recently.
I did.
Yeah, so if y'all want to find out where to find Laura, go check her community tab and also subscribe and hit the bell so you always know where she's going to be. Well, kind of. That won't really help when she's guesting on other places. So definitely subscribe so you can find her community tab easy to see where she will be. Sorry.
That's it, I guess.
Okay. And I am writing Mom Samantha L. Nassett. On my channel, I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. I host live streams like this on Mondays where we have a good time, try to get some work done. The emphasis on try, because, chronic illness all around. I do have a writing community Discord now, the Sam's Realm, which you can join by going to my Coffee Ko-Fi. It's the $1 membership tier, the only membership tier. We have a good time in there. I have a critique group. This May was our first critique group, and that's going pretty well. My brain was like, I had things to say, and now I cannot. If you would like to read samples of my writing, go to my website, samanthaelnasset.com, where I have 2 short form fictions there. You can sign up to my newsletter to keep up to date with all things Sam. Please like, subscribe, ring-a-ding the bell so you know whenever I go live. I hit 700 subscribers. And I waited several days to make sure that YouTube wasn't going to take one away. So
As it always does.
We finally broken 700.
I'm getting close to 500.
Ah, yes. Let's do it. How far away are you?
15.
That's if Laura does not have those 15 by the Storyteller Hearth Weekend Relay, that's my goal for the weekend, is to get Laura 15 more subs.
Thanks.
Thank you. Every 100 subs is a celebration for me.
Do you want to see my book haul that has arrived in 2 loads? Saturday and today.
She's a giant stack.
Laura's channel is, I believe it's
Laura Nettles.
Laura Nettles. Okay, your Instagram always throws me off because it's nettles.animation.
I know.
But
I didn't realize that was the name of my Instagram when I made it, because, spoiler alert, that's my email.
I see.
Change
Yeah, you
it.
can change it.
Yeah, I can.
She's like, I can, but that's work. If you go to the video subscription, Laura's Linktree is there, and you can like find links to wherever she is there. I try to make it easy to stalk my guest. Boom, 846. So now you need 14. That's only a 4. Just pretend there's 10 more fingers.
It's invisible. Here, I'll hold up the other 10.
Thank you. Teamwork.
Yeah.
See, this is why we run a successful event together.
Right. Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
While Laura is sharing her book haul, because I'm very interested in it, chat, go ahead, let us know what you're working on today.
I have The Lovely Bones, which I've never read nor watched, so I don't know the twist yet.
Me either.
So I'm very excited.
Oh, I'll fix it
I
later.
have the first 7 volumes of Blood on the Tracks,
Ooh, nice.
which is a horror manga.
Well, then you fix it.
She's prepared for a weekend in.
Just Google it.
I know
You gotta
about
it's one of the functions. I just
scene
can't remember which one.
in the first volume. The mom is like a helicopter mom, and
The art
loves
looks
her
so
son.
nice.
Loves her son very dearly, and her son and her nephew.
Is this a horror series?
Yes. Are
Okay.
walking along the trail ahead of the family as they're hiking. And yeah.
Bad things happen. Just
Bad
didn't that.
things happen. And that's just the start of it.
That's where the story begins.
That's in volume 1. So yeah. And then I finally own a physical copy of Venus in the Blind Spot by Junji Ito. This has a really cool one where people are being sewn together and showing up on the sidewalk and on Christmas trees and stuff. And so they're like, what the heck is going on? So
Sailor Twilight said to have tissues ready for one of the. I think my child was telling me about an issue with the computer.
For the Lovely Bones.
Cool. Yeah. And I have a whole box of tiny shivers now. So yeah.
Can we still get the autographed ones from the Ko-fi?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I have to wait until after the convention to order mine, but I am looking forward to it.
I currently just have the ebook version. but I do have it.
Look at that.
I like that it's short stories and small things because I am not a body horror gore person. So I'm like, if I get to it, I can just go, nope, that one's not for me, and go to the next story. You know, because when it's a whole, that is like the one thing that really bums me out with books. I love to read horror, but I really don't like bloody, gory kind of horror, body gore kind of horror. I can do a little bit, but not a lot. Right. And so if I'm reading a whole book and I'm like interested in the plot, the characters and everything, and then it starts to get into that area, I'm like, I can't read this.
Right.
So like I'll find spoilers online or find somebody who's read it and like figure out what happens, but it kind of ruins it when it's a whole book. So when it's like short stories, I'm like, nope, next one. This one's not for me.
I'm looking forward to it because like my oldest is really getting into like horror and darker stories and stuff. Like those are the books that he's checking out of the library and looking for. And he'll be 12 this year, and so like he's still middle grade, but I will be able to like read them, and then if I think that some of them are like good for him, then I can like share those with him. And that's the other thing he really likes is he gets through a book or story faster if other people are reading it with him. I think because he likes to engage and talk about it, whereas when he's reading something on his own, he's a much slower reader. So I'm looking forward to like maybe sharing that with him because like I got into horror and stuff with my dad, so I'm like, no, I must share this with my oldest.
Must share.
Yes. My youngest, but it's so funny. She when like we first showed them Books a Million and stuff, you know, the children were like obsessed and everything, and she would gravitate toward Coraline, but then talk about how Coraline, like, oh no, that's like too scary. She wouldn't want to, you know, buy that for herself or anything. And I'm like, okay, then don't. And she's like, but I would like it as like a birthday present or something. And I'm like, okay, noted. But then like the last time we were in Books a Million, she like went past that section and she's like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy Coraline. And I'm like, have you been having this debate with yourself for a couple weeks there? So she bought herself Coraline. And it just so happened that for the May Chaos Reign, like one of my bingo squares was pick your favorite prompt from last year. I didn't participate last year, but I went and I looked at the prompts and I picked the read one by Neil Gaiman because I did want to read Coraline. And I checked it at the audiobook out of the library. Well, she saw the Coraline audiobook on my phone and ran to her room excitedly, brought her paperback and said, "Can I read along?"
Aww.
And so that became our thing for a couple nights. Is I would let Coraline play for 20 minutes and she would just like read along. Though she never ends at the 20 minutes because she always has to finish the chapter.
Of course.
And I'm like, that's fair.
Coraline terrified me, and I've never read it. I've only watched the movie, and it's terrifying.
I read it as a kid.
My middle child. Well, let's see. My youngest is. Your sister is 8, right? She'll be 9 this year. Yeah. And so. Yeah, but she's like really into it and stuff, and so far it's been fine. Now my middle child is like, I want Coraline, so like. With the money they made Saturday, he's gonna buy himself Coraline. He was like very disappointed we couldn't go to the bookstore, but I was like, baby, that's on the other side of town from where we are. Like, we'll go, I promise you. You'll get your Coraline. And he's like, okay. And now my oldest is like, I too want Coraline.
Did you guys share a library?
It's like we were literally just at a library. Well, we shared the No, they each have their own Libro account, but like I have a Libro account where I collect books for me and bedtime books. So now I'm considering picking up Coraline for a bedtime like audiobook. But we all have our own library cards. So like, and there's a 22 week wait on the audiobook for Coraline. So the other two are like waiting for it, and I have it. So I'm like, I guess I'll just leave it on my thing until they finish it.
That's fair.
Teamwork do make the dream work. Mimi will be working on so many things today. Has to read about the writing the writing craft. Have to write this spicy scene. Have to read a few pages in a novel. Critique a manuscript. You
The
got
whole
this.
shebang.
Orphiker, who is joining us from Twitch, is writing a manifesto to destroy everything. Very fair. Life aspirations. I know your name, but I can't
Desiree.
remember. Thank you. I didn't want to say the wrong name, but I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Desiree. Sneaking over to say hi. Happy writing. Thank you for sneaking over. I know you also stream at this time. RP is going to refamiliarize himself with one of their whips they haven't touched in months. No summer classes, so might actually be able to get some writing done. Nice. Sailor Twilight's working on eternal edits of their 4th book, making progress though, slow and steady. Nice.
I feel that.
The migraine symptoms are real, yo. They're real.
I'll be reading this.
What is
Gifts
that?
bind us.
Yeah. It's the sequel to All Our Hidden Gifts, which was my favorite book of last year. It's taking me forever to read, but only because I have to read it with my eyeballs and I don't have an audiobook and I'm not an eyeball reader anymore. It's fantastic. I'm having a great time.
I just read the sequel book to my favorite book of last year as well this weekend.
What was that?
PTSD Radio.
I don't know that one.
It's a horror manga.
Oh.
So the omnibus for volumes 5 and 6 combined just came out on the 9th. And so it arrived and I read it. And it was so good.
I'm setting us up our
I
time.
love that.
The thing is, the author kept having all of these paranormal and like medical issue experiences going on while writing this story. And so they're like, I think the story is cursed and I don't think I could work on it.
like, I don't know what demon I angered, but
there was a piece of a broken shrine in the closet that they moved into. Like, oh gosh. He drew a scene in one of the volumes where somebody like throws up blood into a sink and creatures come out the drain. And that night, he started getting sores in his mouth and like the whole blood issue and ended up going to the hospital, was there for months because his platelet count was 2. So he was dying and bleeding to death on the inside. And he's like, what is happening? And they don't know what caused it. Like this.
I think maybe he cursed.
Mm-hmm. So half of the last volume is true stories what was going down while he was working on it. So it's pretty cool.
He's like, y'all, I may have to just nope.
We always say that sometimes what we write about, real life is so weird that you just want to write it into your book.
Yeah. So, but tonight, I think I'm gonna bust into this one.
I will be making my task list for the night, and then I'm going to dedicate today to plot bunnies so that I can complete my May Chaos Reign C prompts.
Nice.
I'm Team Sky. I have much more to do.
I have most of the stuff to make my drink based off of my whip.
I looked at the Sky and the C prompts because I was like, I want dual citizenship.
Uh-huh.
And
samesies.
Then I did my bingo card, and I had all 10 of the Sky and C prompts on my bingo card anyway. So I was like, well, this is fortuitous, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked, and I could do C's prompts easier sooner. So I was like, I'll do those first. Especially the watch a show not on a screen. But like because we can't start Sky, because we can't start the other one until we finish this one, that means I have to finish C before I leave for the convention, because that's where I'm hoping to catch a panel or something. And that's where I will do that, because otherwise we don't really have live things here during this month. Like, and our
watched the
local
football
theater is
game.
under renovations, so I'm like, well, except the Tennessee Renaissance Fair, but like can't really go to that this year, unfortunately. But I don't even remember if that's May. No, it is May. It is May. It's like, is it May or June?
It is going on right now because I've seen pictures of people that have been there.
But yes,
Look at
so
Sam.
yes, thank you. I desire to make another Sam FaceTimer so I can switch up which of my faces I use as our first timer of the night. But for now, we're sticking to this.
Sounds fair.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, let's go.
The timer's not going.
Thank you. And we're back. How did everybody do?
So good. I read all of volume 1.
Nice.
So, yeah, it took 28 minutes to read it.
I have no idea how much I read, but I read some book.
That's fair. I made my list. And then I was like, all right, I know the short story I want to work on for my plot bunnies today. And so but my brain is really struggling to function properly. So I'm like, I must put all the details and stuff that I can think of. And I have a general plot and how I want it. Okay, it's less plot points and more how I want the emotions to go in the short story. And then also, when you have a concept and it's like character will do X, but then you have no idea how they're going to accomplish X. I figured out how she's going to do X. And then I was going to start writing it. But I was like, I don't have anybody's names. And I need a name. I only need 2 names, but I need 2 names.
Xavier.
So that would work if this wasn't a sapphic short story in which they're both women. I have names now though. But I had my children bring me a snack and some coffee, so I will be able to focus better.
I had a snack.
Ooh.
Snacky snack.
I read 40 pages. I did the math.
Nice.
But the timer went off at a really good part in the middle of a chapter that something big is happening, and I'm not happy about it.
That's so rude of the timer. Who set that? They should be fired.
Lame sauce.
If it had started on time, I probably wouldn't have been there yet.
Oh.
Would that less than a minute really have made that much of a difference?
Well, okay. See, but when you're on this part, where am I at? This part of the page and it's getting interesting. A minute before I could have been over here, and so it wouldn't have been interesting.
I cannot relate. I would have literally just been at the top of the same page. It would have been a paragraph of difference.
Well, I read 40 pages in 30 minutes. You do the math.
You're at how many in 30 minutes?
40.
Yeah, so you can read about a page in a third a minute.
Yeah, depending on the book. Anywhere between a page to a page and a quarter a minute.
Yeah.
Depending on if the writing's this.
I didn't say I disbelieved you. I said I can't relate.
I know.
Because I read slow. That's why I need the audiobooks to read to me.
I think I've just... I don't want to say I've just figured out how to get around reading, but I think my brain, because my dyslexia is not nearly as severe as yours, obviously, lest I would have more troubles. I just know that my R's and T's are backwards. So if I'm trying to learn other languages, it sucks because I can't do those, but because I struggle with R's and T's in English, but I've been looking at those words for 35 years. I just know what the word is at this point, even though the letters aren't in the right place.
Your brain fixes it for you.
It just fixes it. So when I was younger, I had a lot more problems than I have now. Spelling, however, especially with PQBD. No. Those are all the same letter. I don't know if you know that. It's all the same letter. It's the exact same letter.
Good to know.
I've been reading through the Lunar Chronicles because my husband requested that I read through them so we could discuss them, and I was like, okay. And I started like I hadn't listened to an audiobook in a while, so that was on like 1 or times 1.3 and stuff, but I worked my way back up to 2. I don't like listening any higher than 2 because they just become chipmunks. At least at 2, a lot of the narrators I listen to still have human inflections. So that's my preference. Well, I was listening to it without my headset, and he was just like, "You understand that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And at some point, he was like, "Well, you're listening to it at like times 5 and still somehow retaining all the information." And I was like, "It's times 2." But yes, if I couldn't retain the information, it would have been slowed down. So
My mom does that
that's
too
my
when
new secret.
if I'm listening to something and she hears it, or if I'm watching YouTube videos on 2 times speed, she's like, "How do you even know what they're saying?" And I'm like, "How do you not know? Like, you can't hear it?"
It's like my
I can hear it.
ears adjusted. That's all.
Yeah.
For me, I think it helps that like my grandpa used to like he used to do rodeos and go to like those I think he worked as an auctioneer for a while, so like he can talk that fast. And so sometimes he would just talk that fast, and so just normal things. Bella was here late catching up. Her weekend was pretty tiring. Spent the entire weekend putting pearl beads on strings. Oh, I am sorry for your back. Hi, Tina. We're glad that you're glad to be here. Read about psychic distance in narrative storytelling and about expanding on situations in pantsing a novel. What is psychic distance in narrative storytelling?
Are you
realized
looking
that
through the
said-
character's eyes? Or are you behind the character's shoulder watching? Like how?
What do?
Shaylin does a good
if you
video
would-
on it, as does Rachel Wrights.
Oh.
So it's basically, instead of like filtering, we'll put more psychic distance between you and.
Oh, okay. I know the concept. I didn't know the term.
So instead of watching something happen, you're watching somebody watch something happen.
Yeah. I seem to be getting more motivation later at night, so I spent this sprint watching Naruto so I can prep for a fan fiction I am hoping to work. We'll see how that goes. I am the same way. Like sometimes, if you look at my task list, I will have 1, maybe 2 things checked off at like 10 at night after I put the children to bed, and then by 1 in the morning, everything is done. That is my work hours. Well, it's more like between 11 and 2 a.m., but yeah. I edited 1 page while also trying to put my 7-year-old and 5-year-old to bed. Well, I commend you for getting that 1 page done.
Yes.
Hello, and thank you for popping in. Took some painkillers as my legs are bothering me, and I have gotten a good start on the critique I promised in Sam's Discord. Woohoo! I need to do those. I'm hoping to do my critiques tomorrow. I mostly got settled and messaged Sam, but I did open up a work I'm critiquing. Yes, sometimes you gotta spend a sprint prepping. Looked at 3 different whips I had been working on and realized that I have no idea where my most recent and updated versions are. Oh no, RP. Laura, do your stories in your collection all take place in the same world, or are they all in different locations?
They're all different, except for what is it called? Communion and Split Pipes. There's 2 that are back to back that are a duology, Dravels. So one is the event and one is the consequence.
Hopefully I fixed it. Sometimes my thing is just up too high and my mic picks up on my speakers. I hope it's not where I'm sitting, because I'm on the bare half of the room today.
I'll also turn you down so you're not as loud on my end, and that may help as well since I'm the one not wearing headphones.
Cool. It was about how far the narrative is situated from the protagonist. Exactly what Laura said. Hello and welcome. My internet child has just sent me a Snapchat. We were discussing apparently she's reading a comic on Manta about like somebody who died and went back in the past and became an idol, which I am also reading a comic on Manta that has that like same premise, but then like the details of her plot did not match up with the details of the one I'm reading, so I'm like, are there two? I would not be surprised if there are two, but
Isn't there an anime where like a shogunate, a shogun general died and like comes back and is in charge of a K-pop group or an idol group?
Yeah, I think there's
Uses
also
his
like
war
one
strategies for marketing.
Yeah, where this mafia boss and his like, I don't remember if the mafia boss and some of his underlings, like, I think they die and they're reborn as this pop idol group, but they still act like members of the Yakuza, just in pop idol bodies. I don't remember what that's called.
Nice.
But I haven't seen it yet. I just know of its existence, and I'm like, I need to be able to stream this somewhere.
The first K-drama I ever saw was You Are Beautiful, where the main character is a nun. Well, she's about to become a nun. She's been like a nun in training for forever. She's going to go to Rome to take her vows. And she's a twin, obviously. It's a K-drama.
Oh, yes.
And her brother was about to go sign a contract to become a K-pop idol, but his plastic surgery went wrong, so he has to go to America to get it fixed. And so his manager comes up to her and is like, pretend to be your brother and sign the contract. She ends up having to live in the house with the boy band. Like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So it's this nun girl, like, what is happening? Falling in love with all the boys. Like,
As
of course. Of course.
That's rough.
I know.
RP said, thankfully, the versions I have aren't super far behind, I think, anyway. Awesome. I mean, like, it still sucks, but at least there is that small safety net. Consolidation? Consolation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Consolation prize.
Yes, that's what I was going for. Sometimes the dyslexia will let you dance around the words you want, and then you eventually get there.
Which is just rude, you know?
It is. Because, like, you can't focus on anything else until you figure it out.
Until you get the word you've been looking for.
You're just so close. So has anybody else read the Lunar Chronicles before? I think it was super popular at some point.
Yeah, I've read all 4 books in the series, and then the collection of short stories has like an epilogue in it.
Yeah. I'm on book 3.5, which is Lavana's story, apparently.
Which is crazy.
Ferris. Yeah, I just started that one last night.
Yeah,
but
Ferris is wild.
I didn't know I needed sci-fi Sailor Moon Cinderella in my life, but here we are.
I didn't love the first book as much as I did the others.
That's fair. When Chris recommended them to me, I was like, so you want me to read Cinder? And he's like, no, I want you to read Scarlet. But like, you need to read Cinder first. So far, Scarlet is my favorite book.
I'm not a Cinderella fan. Like, I've never been. Like, it's not my favorite story. It's not my favorite tale. I liked the movie when I was a kid because I liked to sing along with the songs.
That's fair.
But, like, I've never liked the story itself. And so I knew going into Cinder that I don't like cyborg stuff and I don't like Cinderella. So I knew it wasn't necessarily going to be my jam. But I liked the world enough to keep going.
I had literally forgotten, because like my sister read it years and years ago and like told me some things about it, but she wanted me to read it, and whenever that happens, I try to only half process what people say so that I will hopefully eventually forget. And yeah, because my migraine and my brain fog was just so strong, when I started reading it, all I knew was this is book that my husband wanted me to read. Like, I didn't even remember that my sister had read it. And then I'm getting through part of it, and I was like, oh, it's a cyborg Cinderella. And I was like, why does that sound familiar?
I feel like something happened before.
Then like I got into Scarlet, and I was like, wait a second. I remember my sister telling me about a Red Riding Hood one, but like not much else past that. So I was like, this is the series my sister read. And like, well, my husband was right. I did have a much stronger preference for Scarlet. Crest was okay. Also, nobody feels the age that they are according to like you have to look up their ages to actually know for sure most of their ages
How
except
old they are.
Cinder's. And like none of them feel the right age. This is like one of those book series where I am dead convinced that the author was like so like, I don't want to say so old because, you know, like 30 is not actually old, but so far removed from the adolescent and early 20 years that they just fucking throw numbers out, not thinking about what these numbers actually mean. Because like Scarlet feels like she's 19 or 20. She doesn't feel like 18, which I know is like a little thing. Wolf also feels younger than his mid-20s. He doesn't quite feel mid-20s. Thorn feels older than he should be. I'll give him like sometimes he feels mid-20s, but other times I'm like this motherfucker in his late 20s.
I think part of it too is it probably was, as is common with women who write YA fantasy or sci-fi, it usually had been intended to be adult, and they were told that it wouldn't market to adult and they needed to age down their characters. That happened a lot in that time frame. So
I wasn't sure when Cinder came out, like especially since it feels like
2010?
only the female characters would have been aged down. But I also didn't know if like, because if she's basing it off like the original fairy tales and stuff, then technically a lot of them are aged up already.
Yeah.
But
Cinder was January 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, 2012. Yeah, that would have been that time, that era. I could definitely see that with Cinder, because a lot of them like they feel more like adults for the most part.
The plots and like dealing with all of the like societal and political issues, which I always feel that way. I feel like
the Lunar Chronicles definitely feels like it should have been adult. Now that you point that out, like what era it should have been in, because like I was surprised when my husband started. He's like, "Oh, well, there's a bit of an age gap, a weird age gap for some of them," and I'm like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like there is, but yeah, I guess there is." So it's also funny because like before I started reading Scarlet, I was like, I hope Scarlet is a Red Riding Hood retelling where her love interest is a werewolf. And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's like there's a lot of retellings that do that, and they're my favorites. And he's like, hun, isn't that like weirdly problematic? And I'm like, have you met me? Like, who are you? You should know I have questionable tastes sometimes. But also, like I've said this to a couple of people, especially since I started reading Cinder or reading Scarlet, and I find it fascinating that that has become a thing, because Little Red Riding Hood, like in its origin, you know, it's a fairy tale, so it was supposed to help teach some like moral or lesson or something. And it was supposed to demonstrate to young girls, you know, to stay away from like smooth talking men that they don't know, you know, to like avoid predators and stuff, because like, you know, you shouldn't want to sleep with a charming young man who will probably just swindle you out of your grandmother's basket and then, eat you up and stuff. But then as society has evolved and as women have broken out of that like societal lesson that they should be ashamed of their sexuality and everything, there was a rise of Little Red Riding Hood retellings where the big bad wolf is suddenly the love interest. No matter how they portray the big bad wolf himself, he's just like, he is, Red Riding Hood's mans. And usually with her initiating too. So it's like, it's so fascinating how society seems to have done that like together, but without meaning to. And Wolf is like the most adorable cinnamon bun who can also rip people's throats out, and I love him so much. He is my favorite.
He's a very interesting character.
Also, he is a street fighting werewolf, and I feel like I'm owed money, even though this came out years and years ago.
It was a little bit before your time, so...
I know, it's also like an actually very common concept. I did not invent anything there.
I think at this point it would be nearly impossible for any of us to invent something for a book that was like an absolutely brand new concept that no one had ever thought of.
I just wanted to make fun of it because that's what I'm writing right now, kind of. She's a jaguar, but
She's a shifter.
Yes.
Same deal.
I do have one fairly unique monster in my collection. So I guess it's a spoiler alert for this monster.
Chat, I'm sorry I wasn't neglecting you. Your comments all just like popped up.
So the monster itself looks like a city.
Mm-hmm.
And different parts of the city will shift like tectonic plates, and the lights in the windows will pulsate as it starts to move. And it has a lure like an anglerfish, but it's in the shape of a human girl with a lamp that will lead people to it to be eaten.
That's fascinating. How does your brain do that?
I don't know.
Bella said, "RP, it's a good thing they aren't too old, but let's be real, the likelihood of you changing 75% of it is pretty high, or is it just me?" I don't know. I don't think my versions changed that drastically between each rendition. Like maybe from the first to the final, but not. Thanks to Laura's influence, I'm diligently working on my first short story collection, adult mystery suspense stories. Awesome! I love short story collections. Sam to sister, hey sis, I found an amazing book with a cyborg Cinderella. Sis, yeah, I told you about it, Sam. Nah. This actually, because my sister and I both have dyslexia, and she has migraines as a symptom of her fibromyalgia, and I just have chronic migraines. We do that to each other all the time, actually. It's like, hey, I found this really like interesting thing, and it's like, I told you about that. And it's like, oh, did you? Well, I like it.
It's a thing I like.
That's a good point, Bella, and partly why I'm not too hung up about the fact that I'm missing stuff. This was how I felt about Philip Pullman's His Dark Material. She starts out 12, which made sense, but as the book went on, she started to grow up to the point of being 16 when she was 13. Somebody didn't move time correctly. Everyone. Yes, I especially love a bad boy who is an asshole to everybody except his love interest. I'm like, there's just something
and
special
his mother.
about that. Oh yes, and his mother. He's got to be a good mama's boy. Hello. Unless he doesn't have a mom, then like can't do anything about that. I have a monster that's a jellyfish that lives in the sky, and its tentacles dragging the water creates a static discharge like lightning. It's called this word jellyfish. Air Sikfonzoa? Oh wait, maybe Air Syphozoa. Did I get anywhere close?
Yeah.
Oh, I was asking Penumbra.
Sounded good.
Sounded fine to me. Laura was talking about her monster. That's
Yes.
a city that's like, we're gonna call it sentient. There
The
is
anglerfish city,
Yeah.
tectonically.
There is, not that it's the same thing, obviously, but one that I found interesting that was a city was in Brandon Sanderson's The Reckoners trilogy. And there's a city that constantly moves. So it like kind of travels like around in a circle, and it becomes dust as it, like the back half becomes dust as it reforms further out, but it just keeps like reforming all of the same things. So like the people are constantly having to move because their home is going to, like, within weeks will become dust, and then they have to like move out to the next part, and then as their house starts to become dust again, they have to move to the next part, and it just is like in a continuous loop forever.
Oh.
Could you imagine? You
No,
couldn't
I
have
don't-
many things because you have to like move
no,
house
I
every
would-
2 weeks.
Do you know how many Zelda collectibles I would have to like just never unpack? It would just forever be in a luggage.
I mean, to be fair, it's a post-apocalyptic world where like very few people still exist.
Any world
So
I
you could
exist in,
have-
my collectibles will be there with me. But yes, no, I see your actual point.
I mean, you could be struggling to have food, let alone Zelda collectibles.
I'll just eat the paper. No one will know.
Sounds horrible. Paper tastes gross.
Some paper tastes fine. It's just paper that's like heavily inked that tastes questionable. If the bad boy doesn't have a mom, then it's either the motherly figure who raised him, trained him, or a grandma. Also, not gonna lie, Laura, I can only picture the giant elephant from One Piece.
I think I got to the giant elephant. Look it up.
Oh, that's fair. I don't know if I have to sneeze again or not, and it is just like all that is consuming my brain is just, am I gonna sneeze?
Yes.
What is that bookmark? It looks
Beauty and the
pretty.
Beast.
Zunisha.
Shiny.
Is that from the live action, or is that just a realistic portrait?
The live action, I suppose. It looks like one of the dogs chewed the corner of it.
It's fair.
Delicious.
See, they agree with me. Paper can taste fine.
They also eat their own poop, so
Oh, that's fair. Can you imagine an island that lures people to live on it, then submerges beneath them and sucks them in like a whale eating plankton? I've read some short stories where that's a concept.
I think
That
Charybdis was
also-
like that.
Yeah.
From Greek
There's-
mythology. I think Charybdis was like a I can't remember what it was up top. But it had like
Well-
it was like a big round teeth, and it had something that was in the middle of the water at the top. I don't remember if it was an island, if it was like a, I don't know, a sandy beach, a boat. I don't know what was up there, but there was something at the top. And then when people would get inside, it would just like close up like a Venus flytrap.
Apparently, Charybdis can mean a danger which threatens to engulf one. Which is very apropos, but not what I wanted.
What was that creature in the DreamWorks animated Sinbad that looked like an island? And they land on it and they
I
stand
think
on the eye.
it's Scylla and Charybdis. I'm just trying to remember if, because Charybdis is the whirlpool. I'm trying to remember what
Oh.
Scylla was though, because
You're right. One was the whirlpool and one was the monster. Or no, was it the whirlpool was the
they're both
monster?
monsters. Like both of them are monsters. I'm just trying to remember what they were, because it's like basically the whole thing is you're going between a rock and a hard place. You
Yeah.
get a whirlpool, or you can't get too close to Scylla. Nobody ever talks about what Scylla was, so I'm trying to remember what Scylla is. Scylla was rationalized as a rock shoal described as a 6-headed sea monster on the Calabrian side of the strait, and Charybdis is a whirlpool off the coast of Sicily. So I would assume Scylla would have been would have been an island-like thing.
Scylla was a hydra, essentially.
Yeah, a rock hydra.
I don't know. Anyway.
A monster disguised as an island eats people. Myth. I promise you, Wendigo is not the answer I wanted, people.
No, definitely not.
Not quite.
Wendigo is a Native American thing. Actually, we're not supposed to say that word. That's a bad word. Don't say the
It's
W
Oh,
word.
yeah, you're not supposed to talk about them.
You're not supposed to talk about the W word. It doesn't.
I forgot that we're not supposed to say the word.
I said it too, and then I was like, nope, don't say it. Don't say it.
I was just so offended by Google, I momentarily forgot. I was
when
like,
you talk
Google,
about the thing, you make the thing happen.
fuck?
Don't talk about the
so
thing.
Far off.
But Laura's also right. It's First Nations people as well. I think in the States it's still kind of interchangeable, but I know definitely in Canada it's much more First Nations people. I think here we're still on a precipice of both are socially okay.
Oh yeah, for the most part, all the indigenous people I follow in our half of Northern America prefer indigenous, and actually, some people in Central and South America also prefer indigenous or indigenous tribes.
Good night, Shannon.
Night, Shannon.
Good night, Shannon. I'm not too far behind you because I'll be sleeping after this next sprint. I will be running away.
That's fair. I have a. Oh wait, no. That's not
my bedtime is 10 o'clock.
I know, it's fine. Okay, Sam, just how much paper have you eaten? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Charybdis is the whirlpool. As someone who thought crinkled tissue paper tastes like potato chips as a kid, I agree with Sam. Again, picturing one piece for a plant island that eats people. Did someone say rock? Yes. Going to bed now. Night. Scylla is like a weird hydra mermaid, partly crab, a tail, 6 monster heads. All right. I will take Tina's word for this because Tina's Greek. Like her dad is from Greek. That's how. Her dad is from Greece. That's how Greece there. He's from Greek. Yes.
He's from the salad.
Yeah, First Nations is Canadian, and we call ourselves Native Americans because indigenous implies South America. All right, that's what you were commenting on. And sometimes Scylla's non-lady heads are dog heads because her name also is the word for a female dog. Fair. She's a spooky lady mermaid with a lot of question marks. But either way, we have deduced she is not an island. Oh, wait, I might have found it. Liz, let me tell you. There was like the W word, this, and then nothing but articles on the W word. And I'm like, this is
But this isn't cannibalism.
It's not. The Asphodylshilone is a fabled sea creature, variously described as a large whale or vast sea turtle and a giant sea monster with huge spines on the ridges of the back. It's so huge, it's often mistaken for an island and appears to be rocky with crevices and valleys with trees and greenery and having sand dunes all over it. But does it eat people?
This is the Aladdin 3.
I kept
Prince
thinking that every time
Hmm.
you talked about her, every time I kept going, the hand
Where
of
the-
Midas. That's all I keep thinking
Where his
of.
dad takes him to the island, and then they're like, "Is this island moving? Is this island alive?" And it's a giant turtle, and it's going under the water.
It never appears in the same place twice because it's on the back of a giant turtle.
Oh, that movie.
That was my favorite
Has-
one of the 3 Aladdin movies, which is weird.
It had the best songs in it too, especially "Are You In or Out?"
It had like great adventure. The other 2 were just like regular bad guys. That one was like full on adventure.
I don't know
Tina
why.
has
I really
given
liked
me
Return of Jafar.
solution.
Jafar
Tina, you
was a
can
drag
put
queen,
that
and you
in
could not
the,
convince me otherwise.
Okay, as a kid, I thought Jafar was
Yes.
a girl. I don't know why. I always thought Jafar was a girl.
It's
with a
that
beard.
eyeliner. I'm telling you.
It's like, yeah, Jafar wants to marry Jasmine. Okay, fine, whatever.
Right. I nothing can convince me that Jafar was not a drag queen.
Tina,
I mean, an
you
evil
can
drag
share
queen.
the Scylla link in the chat. You have mod powers, and I'm sure other people would also be interested.
What link?
Yes, I will also share the link to Asphodot. Tina, tell me how to pronounce that word later. Or send me a voice chat on Discord
That's a rough one.
for spooky mermaid dog. Oh, Skila. Oh, fur. Okay, it's not Scylla.
The one
Skila.
that Tina shared.
Yes. Look, I deadass was like, that's a weird way to to spell Skila, and then I realized what was going on. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thought Jafar was a girl. You're not alone, Laura.
Yes!
Vindication.
It's like that Captain Holt gift. Vindication! I like using that one and the evil Hercules gift for disappointed. Just yells. That was such a fun episode. I don't think that is Greek. My brain is 404 trying to pronounce it. Ask your dad. He will know for sure. We'll see if his brain 404s. Oh, the name appears to be a compound word combining Greek aspis, which is asper shield, and chelone, which means turtle.
Jafar, Aladdin stole the turtle from Greek mythology. How
Are we
dare?
surprised?
How dare.
No.
Are you in or out? Join a couch. Okay. No, I need to go full screen it. Where did it go? I have so many search things open right now. I could not find it.
Somebody's going to jail.
It's me.
It's not me. Laura, you can't leave me here by myself. Jess is going to bed. So, Jess, are you going to be here after the sprint to say goodnight, or are we just going to expect you to be poofed?
I will surprise you.
Oh.
Fair. So, go ahead and count us down then.
A 3, a 2, a 1. Go sprint.
And we're back.
I finished
So-
volume 2.
Awesome. Jess has gone to Sleepy By Land. I talked to my husband because he like came in. Excuse me. He goes to bed at 9, so he came in to talk to me for a little bit before he went to bed. And like I mentioned, like he and I both got Tears of the Kingdom, and so he was playing a little bit of it today, and he just like came in here and he was like, "How did you do this thing?" And I was like, "Well, this is how I did it." And he was like, "Oh, well, this is how I did it." And so we were just like talking about that, you know, which the Zelda games are like the only games I super play, so it's fun to be able to have those conversations now. Yes, child. Yes. But yeah, so that distracted me for a good bit. And then I got the first line of my short story, which is good. I should be able to pick up more momentum after that, because like I'm just having a fun brain day. And my brain was like, it knew how it wanted to open this story, but I didn't know how I wanted to open this short story. So my brain was like, this is what we're going to do. And then I rewrote the opening sentence like 8 different ways. But I think I have finally settled on, with a ding, the tyrannical timer summoned Sherry to the kitchen. I enjoy that one. So at the very least, I can move on from the opening sentence now.
Congrats.
Thank you. Which, to be clear, I was not stressing about an opening sentence. I don't think anybody should stress about the opening sentence in a first draft, especially. I was stuck because my brain knew how it wanted to do it, but because I have the brain fog, there was a disconnect between my brain's ability to communicate that with me. So that's where the block was. But hopefully, because like at some point I was just like, okay, I want to include the term tyrannical timer, and I was like, but how, why, what is it doing? So
Nice.
Mimi was critiquing a manuscript that she really, really loves. Awesome. RP accomplished food and an adult beverage. Nice. Also decided which whip I'm going to start working on again. Yes, good. Bella found the moment in Naruto where everything will change, start a fanfic. Now I'm just writing the notes about how things will change. Awesome.
Nice.
And binge watching the show and being hyper aware of the character reaction so I can appropriately write how I want it to go. Love
Nice.
that.
I've only
Right.
ever written one Naruto fanfic, but it was a one-shot flash piece.
You should slide it into my DMs.
It's old.
Well,
That old.
Laura's like, should never see the light of day again. Voltron, Keith's 2-year adventure with his mom, also fell behind when getting food. I no longer know the context, but I love this, like regardless of context. So
Why is my computer possessed?
it wasn't me.
A window just popped up. I did not click on.
So Tina asked her dad. Her guess on how to pronounce it was Aspidohilona. Her dad said it's actually weirdly spelled and should be Aspidohilones if plural, and Aspidohilona if female. And then Tina and I suspect Aspidohilonos if male. But Tina forgot to write it down. And apparently when she asked him, he was like, oh God, what is that, a turtle?
So I have a favorite panel
Yes.
in this volume. So a boy and his mother are ripping a piece of paper.
Okay, paper being ripped. Oh! That's very dramatic ripping of the paper.
Oh, it is. It's like, this is a herald of terrible things to come. What is going on?
Speaking of dramatic things, that reminds me, we started a watch party of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Saturday. Mimi is new to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's one of my husband's favorite animes, and it's an anime I enjoy experiencing. Maybe the best way to sum up my feelings on JoJo. And I asked Mimi, like, what she felt about it. And, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to paraphrase. But she was like, it's definitely, like, dramatic, I think is what she said. And I was like, yes. It's possibly the most dramatic anime she's ever seen. And I was like, that's fair.
So, Tina, it's blood on the tracks.
Yes. The artwork looks gorgeous.
Okay. It opens on, oh, look, a cat that's sleeping on the side of the road. The cat's not sleeping.
Oh,
like,
no.
Oh, no. And then it came back in a nightmare later, and I was like, oh, no.
I had a dream that I was watching a horror movie. And there were, like, some dogs that appeared in the horror movie. And in my dream, I looked up, does the dog die? As I'm watching the movie. It was just weird because it was a dream movie. So, like, there kept being, there's a monster somewhere and people are supposed to be dying. But, like, people just disappeared. And then, like, it would transition scenes. And I'm like, how did we get here? This is the most confusing movie ever. And I'm just like, I woke up and I was like, why was I such an alert viewer in my dream? It's a dream. Tina spent the entire sprint calling her dad. Fair. I put away supper and got ready for bed before doing some research for my writing. There. Trails of Blood. Oh, Tina knows this manga. Voltron fish whale with Forrest on back. This fanfic will hopefully be a whole story. Oh, okay. I see. And then the fanfic will be a whole story rewriting the entire show, both Naruto and Shippuden. Everything changes from the beginning of season 2 of the original Naruto. Fair. It was the most dramatic anime I have ever seen. You thought your first kiss would be from Jonathan, but no, it was I, Dio. That's the one. I messed up the title, and also it messed me up.
Yep.
Tina's reliving some experiences now. Have you ever read the Kane saga?
No.
I don't know. I don't remember why. I might have been talking to Tina about it, but, like, we were talking about horror mangas, and the Kane saga is one of the first horror mangas I ever remember, like, being stocked in stores. Technically, I wouldn't. Well, less horror, more like gothic investigative thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like gothic child Sherlock Holmes. It was Tina I was talking to about it. It's an old one, though. I'm like trying to remember if they even still print it. If they do, and you can find it, I recommend it.
It's at Indigo.
I don't remember much about it right now. All I remember is I enjoyed that one and Godchild. Godchild is either
That's
one of them goes.
Too.
Yeah, one of them goes before the other one. Like, one of them is a prequel series, not a sequel series. Yeah. I just don't remember which is which. I think Godchild is the prequel and Kane Saga comes after that. But don't trust Brain Fog Sam.
Earl Kane Hargreaves investigates the macabre mysteries of
Is it a redo?
That haunt 18th century London in this chilling prequel to Godchild.
Ah, okay. Maybe it's a prequel, not a Yeah, so don't trust Tina either. Well, Laura just read it from the thingy, and
From
the Kane
Indigo.
Saga
Yeah.
is the prequel to Godchild.
So what do I read first, the prequel or the sequel?
I think I read Godchild first and then read the Kane Saga. But ask the interwebs for their opinion, because like I said, I don't remember, so I can't give like fair advice on it. Because I also read it when I was like 14, so it's been a while. Tina also
it's like
read
they only have
Godchild
the
first.
French version in stock.
That would make sense. I think it takes place in France.
Deep in the heart of 19th century London, a young nobleman
I was
named
wrong
Kane
again.
walks the shadowy cobblestone streets of the aristocratic society into which he was born. Forced to become an earl upon the untimely death of his father, Kane assumes the role of head of the Hargreaves, a noble family with a dark past. With Riff, his faithful manservant, and Merryweather, his 10-year-old half-sister, Kane investigates the mysterious crimes that seem to follow him wherever he goes.
Tina said Count Kane is also very 90s, whereas Godchild is more current. That's fascinating, because Godchild came out. When did Godchild manga release date?
Was it 2006?
Yes.
And Kane Saga was also 2006. Looks like.
Type in the Kane Sage. Oops, missed the end of the sprint. That's fair. Kane and Artemis Fowl being my fave book characters as a kid, I feel like says a lot about me.
I love Artemis Fowl! Yes.
Finished editing chapter 12 of How to Become a Crazy Cat Lady to Survive the Zombie Apocalypse. I am so intrigued. Excuse me. I feel like Kane, Artemis Fowl, and Detective Conan are all examples of how, for some reason, the late 90s, early 30s were obsessed with snarky child detectives who also happen to be rich.
Same boy, different font.
Different
Love it.
Also, the gothic artwork is stunning. All right. I don't remember when we ended the last sprint, but do we want to go ahead and go into our final sprint?
Sure.
No,
Volume
because
3.
YouTube won't let me go back to find a new timer. I see the sunset timer and I'm like, oh, that would be a great timer to put on for working on all that glitters. The story I'm done with and don't need to work on. Shh, it's fine. I haven't used this one.
Blood on the Tracks isn't complete, is it? How many volumes?
Richie Rich wasn't snarky. Correct. That was part of why I didn't list him. Was he technically a detective? Because, I don't know a whole lot about Artemis Fowl, but Detective Conan and Kane are, legit detectives.
Artemis Fowl is the son of a crime boss. And the crime boss, he gets abducted, he goes missing and is assumed dead. And so the foul fortune starts to decline. So now they're only millionaires instead of billionaires, and Artemis just can't take it. So he does this whole thing to kidnap a fairy for gold to bring the fortune back up to billionaires.
Okay, so never mind. He does not fit in with what I was going for. But sounds like a wild ride.
It's so fun.
Just have to add that to the list of kids series I need to read up on, because I did not when I was...
The tech genius is a centaur who is paranoid and wears a tinfoil hat.
I will read it for them alone. I'm trying to find something to do while still watching the stream, and I have settled on some Etsy mug listings. That's fair. Dick Tracy did have snark and noir. Yes. R did solve some mysteries and have adventures. AF was causing the crime.
Yes, Artemis Fowl does cause crime.
Laura, since you are a resident short story guru, can I run my concept for my collection by you and get your honest opinion on it?
Sure. I have only ever done one collection on my own, but sure.
I too write many short stories, though I have not put out a collection. When did Black Butler come out, though?
I don't know. I've seen the first couple episodes and then random clips. And I was like, what is this toothbrushing? What? What?
I've seen it recently. So, it's like one of those things where you don't see something that like came out years and years ago until recently. So your brain has it in the wrong timeline for having come out.
Mm-hmm.
But you're like, I know this actually came out years and years and years ago. Like I do that with Teen Wolf. I'm like, Teen Wolf came out like when I was a teenager, I think, but I'm still like, yeah, recently. I recently watched all of Teen Wolf. 2006. Okay, so yeah, he fits in there. Yes, Seal 2. It's definitely a weird one, but a lot of fun. What was it with these all coming out in 2006?
I know.
What's 2006? The year of the gothic rich boy detectives.
When did Vampire Knight come out?
Oh god, Vampire Knight. 2008.
4 to 13.
It was when the anime came out. Yeah. Twas an interesting era of anime and manga.
There was like more chemistry
it was
between the
because
two
of the
guys. Oh gosh.
Fair. That's fair. The emo era. Tina may be onto something. My
There
collection.
was more chemistry between Zero and Kaname than with the main girl. Like,
well, in her
that?
defense, she was pseudo related to both of them, so there should in fact be no chemistry between her and them. But yeah.
Oh gosh.
My favorite thing about the Vampire Knight phenomenon and what it did to our generation was just all that trend of TikToks where people would be like being traumatized by Vampire Knight, but that theme song though, and then they like jam out to the theme song.
It's so good.
My collection is a series where the main characters are all disabled in some way. In one story, they are victims of crimes. In the next, they are the criminals, all forms of disabilities. I think it's an interesting concept. You just have to make sure that you approach all of them very carefully. And I would definitely get a lot of sensitivity readers. Yeah, at least one for each story that reads for that specific disability that you are featuring, especially the ones where they're victims. So,
yeah.
This is coming from someone with 2 disabilities, and we're not going to count my disorders.
I've never seen it done. Well, there is one anthology that came out that I submitted to but didn't make it in. It was called something about Wired.
Laura, when you submit to things, you should DM me the things and we can be submission sisters.
I submitted today, actually.
Nice.
Okay. So the one that I submitted to is called Rewired: Divergent Perspectives in Horror.
Ooh.
So it is 15 talented horror authors explore the theme of neurodiversity and seeing the world differently. Here you'll find stories about everything from the dangers of making eye contact to the power of synesthesia, from the joy of collecting lost things to the difficulty of reading faces. Every author in this collection has approached the theme with their own unique way, some hard-hitting and visceral, others subtle and ultimately uplifting. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I would definitely be interested in writing something for that. If
That's
you
the
wouldn't
only
mind.
comparable anthology I can think of. But that
I
was
have an idea for migraines.
Yeah. So that one, the call was for authors with neurodiverse brains to write neurodiverse stories. So would all of the stories that you write be about disabilities that you particularly have, or are you going to be relying on sensitivity readers?
What was the one that you were just talking about called?
Rewired: Divergent Perspectives in Horror.
Okay, are they still accepting submissions or?
No, it's out.
Oh, it's out. Okay.
It came out in September.
Oh, okay. Yes, I see. I got confused because I thought you said
I submitted but was rejected.
Oh no, I thought you said you submitted one today.
Not to that one, but yes.
This is probably just me misunderstanding because of the brain fog. It's so good. All right. I'm still going to keep this tab open though, because that just sounds fascinating in general. Vampire Night only. It's been a rough day overall. I'm doing well though. I'm glad that you're doing well. Taking me back. We have hit Tina in the childhood. I was in middle school when Vampire Night came out, and I remember loving it in 6th grade. Then I revisited it in 8th and was like, whoa, this is crazy. Also, there was a crazy fight over the manga versus anime because I think the MC ends up with different guys in each. Don't quote me. It's been... Yeah, I think she ends up with...
She's with Kaname in the anime.
Oh, well then, no, it's not different. Vampire Night ending. Yeah, in the final scene, Yuki gives her life to Kaname to turn him human.
To turn him human? What?
It was seen that Zero and Yuki end up together. They raise 2 daughters, the oldest one being Kaname's daughter. Yeah, she has a kid with each of them.
What? Oh,
I think. Yeah, she has a kid with each of them in the manga. And then how did the anime end?
I just remember her going off with Kaname and Zero being left out in the cold, and I was mad.
I can't find the ending for the anime.
I love Oron High School House Club. Ah,
We will not besmirch the name of Orion High Host Club. So.
it's right here in all the discs. Because I have a problem. It's right next to.
I remember,
Brotherhood.
remember everyone's experiences with their disability is different. Yeah. I am being a part of the disabled community myself. I will not bring dishonor to them. Yeah. Absolutely, I'm taking that into consideration. No, only 2 of them will be about disabilities I am intimately familiar with. Everything else will require research and sensitivity readers. Nice. Yeah, we love to hear it. I did not expect to have so many feelings today between Blood on the Tracks, Vampire Knight, Kane Saga, Godchild, What's Next, Orion High Host Club. Kiss, kiss, fall in love.
Have you seen or read D. Gray Man? Because I'm still waiting.
I know!
Chapters! Oh my god!
It's so good!
It's like we're finally getting somewhere! We're finally understanding the backstory!
Man, Laura, you have taste! So many feels. I've been rewatching it lately on Netflix. So good. D. Gray Man was so good.
I even enjoyed The Gray Man Hallow. Like, the art style was definitely different. But it was the Alma Karma arc, and we finally saw it animated. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I have Kiss Kiss Fall in Love stuck in my head, but like somehow with the Gray Man vibes, and I'm not mad at it.
Now I want to listen to the Gray Man openings.
Kiss, kiss.
They are awesome.
Alan Walker, that's his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I ever have a boy, his name will be Alan. Secretly after Alan Walker, because Alan is also my dad and my brother's middle name. So it's a family name.
Oh my gosh, it's Alan is my dad's middle name. I have like 3 or 4 cousins with the middle name Alan. My oldest has 2 middle names because
what are you talking about, Tina? I have the soundtracks to Soul Eater on disc from Japan because I have problems.
But like when my oldest was born, we couldn't agree on any middle names that sounded good with his first name. And I threw out Alan as a joke because of how many men in my family have the middle name Alan. But that was the only middle name my husband liked with his first name. And then after I filled out, not 30 minutes after I filled out the birth certificate, my husband goes, "Oh, we could have gone with Angelo." I was so mad. Which I didn't know at the time, but we actually could have, like, you have like a week or so to have in Florida to have a birth certificate amended. So that you can change. So we could have legally changed his name sooner, but then like we were just moving and stuff. So I was like, okay, one day we'll just do the paperwork to legally change his middle name. But my husband used his middle name so much that he actually grew attached to it. And then I told him what I had wanted his name to be, and he was like, well, I like both. So now he has 2 middle names. But yes.
And yes, Tina, you can come over for a sleepover.
I am desperate for the next 86, but they have confirmed there will be no more this sadness. Yes.
Tea of Revolution.
There was a story idea that I wrote as a script in middle school, mashing all my favorite anime from that time into an original story. I literally remember almost everything. Yes. Nice. So jealous. Can I come over?
I have a few. I have some Naruto Shippuden soundtracks. I have Inuyasha soundtrack. I have.
Oh my gosh! Another great
soundtrack.
another great anime meme. specifically from our generation is that one where it's like kids today will never know what it's like to be woken up in the middle of the night by Adult Swim to this, and then it's the Inuyasha ending. Bokudachiwa. It got so unnecessarily loud for that one verse.
Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles. With Clamp. Samurai X.
Bruh, Samurai X.
Soul Eater. And all 3 Death Note soundtracks. Yes,
I was trying to remember this band.
I imported a lot of CDs. I also imported all 3 live-action Rurouni Kenshin movies from Japan before they were finally available in the States.
All right. Are we ready to go into the sprint? I think we were supposed to go into 10 minutes ago. All right. Everyone wants to sleep over at Laura's house. Not even just to hang out with Laura, just to have her anime music being played all night. It's fine. We don't need to talk to each other. All right. Go ahead and count us down, Laura.
3, 2, 1, go!
You saying sprint just makes me want to not and rebel. I almost took me down and left the timer up
Ooh.
when I was clicking just now. So how did everybody do that spring?
I did Duolingo. And listened to another stream for a little bit. Yeah. Spaced out. Yes.
That's fair. I messaged some people for a little bit and then started writing the short story. And I got 177 words the last couple of minutes, so
Woohoo!
it's flowing very nicely. I'm enjoying it. There are like there are 2 spots where it's like parentheses magic spice name. And later down parentheses other magic spice name. Because that's what I do when I'm drafting the first draft. I don't bother to stop and name things.
I can't not stop. It has to be done.
My main character needs a name 90% of the time. Otherwise, I literally just go parentheses and then use like a key phrase that I will Control F later to replace. But that's why on bigger projects I try to outline and like pre-name everything. So like if this were a novel or something and I knew that I would be writing about magic spices, I would be like I would name them all before I started drafting. But for short stories and stuff, especially when I'm in a flow, I'm like, yes, that's what revision Sam is for. Because I'm like, I don't want to mess up my flow. It's going so well. But
What if it's Paprika Cadabra?
Papdabra. Well, the first one needs to be
Pepperabra.
spice. So if you know a spice that smells sweet,
Spice that smells sweet.
yes. Because the like very small concept idea is that this is a like witch who undercover bakes things that like heal people of their specific like fatigue.
Cardamom.
Maybe. So I need to come up with some bullshit magic spice names that like helps with speeding sprained ankles and fatigue and stuff. RP got 287 words to restart the draft of my web. Nice. Started critiquing, also did some looking up of sharks for charity illustration I do every year. Oh, love that. I did some more research into a university. Is that university or is that just a word I don't know?
University.
That I am looking into attending. First time I can say I've actually written during a stream recently feels good. I feel that, RP. I feel that. I was defeated by blank page syndrome, but you know what? I'll skip this part for now because I'm unsure if my book needs a spice scene. That's fair.
What if it's a magical spice?
That's what I was about to say. I was like, maybe I just took all your spice.
Beef.
Finished notes for episode 2, then drafted the mug listings. Currently updating the listing photos, and then they should be published tonight. Nice. Excuse me. Well, I don't know if I'll finish this short story today, but I am going to work on it more later after the stream because I'm very
for a specific anthology or just for funsies?
No, so today was just like work on some plot bunnies, and I just like writing flash fictions and short stories in general. So it might go on my website at some point, but this was just a story that I wanted to write, and we'll throw at all my friends. And be like, read this. I might put it on my website though, because the samples I have on my website right now are like a very sad, like a bittersweet ghost story, and then like a darker villain perspective story. And I'm like, I actually, when I write novels, always have happy endings. And I'm like, I need to put something lighthearted and sweet on my website so people know that I am in fact capable of writing such. I know. It's like people have come to expect some things from me now, and I'm like, don't actually know if that is representative of the novels I plan to put out. Because I realized after I prepped a couple, like, because I have another short story that I'm working on prepping for my website, and that one is also a bit darker. And I'm like, I have a very different tone for when I write short fiction or short form fiction than when I write it longer. And I'm like, yeah. That was supposed to be university. Okay. Bittersweet, she says. It broke my heart. I feel the story was sweet until you get to the end when my readers become bitter. Very tired, but still have stuff I want to do, resisting the urge to drink coffee. That's fair. Finished reading the last part of the Pet Psychic Magical Mysteries box set. I enjoy that name and what I believe the concept is just from the name. A cute warlock cop, a snarky, truth-sniffing police dog. I misread that as truth-sniffing police turtle.
Oh.
Dog is also fun. But I thought I was like the turtle, so on topic. But and a magicless cursed shifter with the ability to talk to animals. So were they a shifter who is cursed to not be able to shift anymore and can now only talk to animals? I want to keep working with another adult beverage after the sprint, but also sleep. We shall see what I feel like after I actually stand up. That's fair.
Have you ever like distilled lettuce into a drink before?
I haven't, but that sounds interesting.
I'm just wondering if it's possible.
Well, you know, lettuce is already kind of like crispy water. That's one of the reasons which I don't say that as an insult to lettuce. That's one of the reasons I really enjoy eating lettuce. It's because it's like crispy water. But all right, we should. I can't switch you
because you can like make kimchi out of cabbage, which ferments. Yeah. But I don't know if you could do anything with lettuce or spinach. Or broccoli. Broccoli would smell like the dead.
I was about to be like distilled lettuce? Question mark. Laura's inquiring if it can be a thing. I remember the day. It now makes sense. I remember the day that like because I wasn't like I thought I knew what kimchi was, right? Because I had some kimchi, but then at the all you can eat Korean buffet that we went to, they brought different kinds of kimchi, and I was like, so what makes it kimchi? And then I looked it up, and that is when I like, because you know like kimchi is primarily made from cabbage, but they also have cucumber kimchi, which is like my favorite. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, so what is kimchi then? And it's basically the same thing as like pickles, in that
just the fermenting process.
Yeah, in that like pickling is the process and pickles is just one of the things that you get from pickling. Kimchi is the process, and cabbage kimchi is just like the main thing you get from it, at least from my understanding of when I was researching it, because I needed to know. And it's weird because like pickling cucumbers is how you get pickles, but with cucumber kimchi, it's like depending on how fresh it is, it's either just like a really kind of like slightly spicy sweet cucumber or a slightly spicy pickle flavor. And like I will eat either. I prefer the like fresher one because it's like crunchier, and I just like that those contrasting with the sweet and the slightly spicy. My sister, however, prefers it, I guess, after it's been fermenting for a while. So because like she was trying to figure out what the kimchi type was, and we finally figured out it was cucumber kimchi. And then she was like, "This is good, but I like it when it's just spicy pickles." I'm like, that's fair. Hold on. RP said, good question. No idea. I might find out in the future, though. Because different lettuces have different flavors. So it'd be interesting to see if lettuces will ferment into distinct flavors like the different grains or starches do. Research will occur this week. I look forward to your results. She's trapped as a human and can't use magic. Shifters are the subject of much prejudice, and after Jolene is outed as a shifter and cursed, she loses everything. The side effect of the curse is that she can speak to / hear animals, insects, and everything, but she struggles to tune it out sometimes. Starving and almost homeless, she takes a job as a police consultant despite being from Dark Moon. Now all I can think is Sailor Moon. But Bella said Sam streams are great for coming up with product ideas. I am glad to help be the muse for any and all creators.
You think Sailor Moon? My brain went Mulan with the dark side of the moon.
Yes. Well, there's a villain family that's called the Dark Moon family. So, but I like where your mind went. Okay.
I was like, is this Pink Floyd? Like, no, this is Mulan.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me. We need to go. But it reminds me of when Pink Floyd came out with a thing and they like changed it to a rainbow, and somebody got really mad because they were like, "Oh man, now Pink Floyd is becoming like forcing LGBTQ down our throats and everything." And someone was just like, "Allow me to educate you on what a prism is." And the fact that Pink Floyd's been using that. So then I just thought that was funny. Yeah. All right. Say your outro.
I am Laura Nettles. Same name as my channel. I write all things horror. I have a book out. It's called Tiny Shivers. Ta-da! It's on Amazon. If you want the signed edition, it is on my Ko-fi page. Yeah, I will be on Nia's stream tomorrow, JC stream Wednesday, Tiffany's stream Thursday, and yeah.
I highly recommend watching her launch stream for it. It was really fun, much entertainment. Also, JC Carpenter did a really nice read-along of it where she shared a couple, I believe she shared 2 or 3 of the short stories and like showed off quite a few of the illustrations and stuff. It was a fun watch. The call out here, how dare. But also, sugar content affects the flavor and fermentation of kimchi. All right. I forgot who I was. I am writing mom Samantha El Nasset. I host live streams. Yes, you can have ice cream. I host live streams like this on my channel. I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. Host live streams like this on my channel. I have a Discord, which you can get to from my Coffee Ko-Fi, the $1 tier, where we have a good time. We do lots of watch parties now. That's like a thing. We do at least 3 or 4 a month. We have a critique group that is in its first round and, enjoying notes and stuff. My brain is just turning off. You can read samples of my writing at my website, SamanthaLNasset.com, where you can also sign up to my newsletter to stay up to date with all the things Sam, because I announce things there first and foremost. If you enjoyed today, please like, subscribe, ring-a-ding that bell, Thank you, everyone, for the discussions and the good time, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.